as was mentioned, my name is Michael Moss, and I am with Business Intelligence 101. You know, today we're going to be talking about, by the way, I want to thank the library for allowing us to host this today. It's a privilege for us, and we're glad that you're attending. We hope that we can help you learn a few things. Our whole goal here is to give you 7 steps or tips to make more money in 2014. Some of them involve actual profit making, some of them involve actually just margins and how to get better margins. And so our goal here today is to cover a lot of different areas. I'm going to be moving back and forth a little bit, but I'm going to try to make sure that I don't do any of this, because then everyone gets into the shadow puppet thing, and I don't want to do that. We have many speakers today. There are 5 of us. So we'll be covering a lot of stuff. Feel free to ask questions as we move forward. We'll actually have some questions, sections for questions as well. We'll break in the middle for some lunch, and we'll continue on. It should be great. All right? We thank you again for joining us today. So let's get started here. I cover sales, so that's what we're going to talk about first. Because usually when you think about making money, you think about sales. One of the things I like to talk about right away is this simple concept right here. The rules of sales have not changed. But the way we do it has, enormously. You can't do sales the way you used to. Okay? Let's examine that for just a second. There are some tried and true ways that we have tried to do sales, right? Let's go over them. So, you find ways to reach out. You find the pain, or what we call the need, right? You offer a product or a service of some sort. You have it make, quote unquote, sense to them, because that's part of the concept. If it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't fit, you must have quit. It won't work, right? And then, you close with the money. That all makes sense, right? And how do we go about doing that? A couple different ways. We try to communicate with these people through the internet, we use cell phones, we use the internet, we use web pricing, we do emails, lots of different ways, texting. Technology is allowing us to now do it in lots of different ways. And then what ends up happening? We get some sales, so we keep doing the same thing. We go back to reaching out, finding the pain, offer the product or service. What is your product or service? What's your name?
Hildegard.
Hildegard, what is the product or service that you offer?
We sell home decor and furniture.
Great, so you probably use all these different methods right here. Use the internet, you get in touch with them. They usually give you your cell phones, you can get in touch with them about different aspects, particularly if there's decorating choices, trying to get the sales up, using web pricing, because I'm sure there's a lot of competition for you, right? The emails back and forth and trying to market, right? And the thing is after you do all that, you still have to have it make sense. Because why should they choose you versus someone else? We all know about that problem. And then we have to close with the money. That makes sense, right? Right? So we just keep doing this, and it works, but we can't figure out why it's slowly diminishing as the years go on. Keep doing it, we're not getting it. Because nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't change the way you do business, you'll keep watching it slowly slip away in sales. I hope that makes sense for you. Nothing changes as nothing changes. So I assume the reason that you're here today, I could be wrong, is because you want to change what you're doing so that you can get more money out of your business. So, let me tell you a little story. I don't know if you've ever heard of this company. It's a small company called Whole Foods. It's probably the largest natural food market in the world, at least in the United States for sure. And a very well-known stock as well. But surprisingly enough, where's Todd? There's Todd over there. Todd is our investment specialist there. Todd would verify that it's also one of the poorest performing stocks on the market the last couple of years. Now, how can that be? How can such a behemoth, huge organization like Whole Foods, that you immediately know what they are, and their name says who they are better than any other business? And you know what you're getting there, right? Whole Foods. Very careful about the products that they present. Why is it that their stock is performing so poorly? Well, let's go to an expert. A guy from J.P. Morgan. An analyst by the name of Kenneth Goldman asks, does Whole Foods management appreciate that the world has changed and there's a lot more competition out there? I'm not really hearing anything that's suggesting that management is taking this situation as seriously as some investors want. What did we just cover? Nothing changes if nothing changes. They're not changing. We got Trader Joe's now. You have Vons, which is actually Safeway. You have Ralph's, which is actually Kroger's, that are both nationwide grocery chains that have major natural aisles in their stores. Walmart has actually bought Wild Oats, which used to be a natural food store that competed with Whole Foods till Whole Foods bought them, and then it got disqualified, that the merger was no good. Now, Walmart has bought them, and they're going to have a natural aisle or two called Wild Oats with the Wild Oats products to compete with Whole Foods. So their stock is probably going to continue to go down. Because what are they not doing? They're not changing. They're holding true to the belief that you can do sales the same way that they did sales 3-4 years ago when they were really at the top of the mountain. And that's the problem. So what do you have to do? Here's a list of some things to think about. You have to change how people see you. So what does that mean? I'm going to duck through here for a minute here. What does that mean? Change how they see you. The perception of the kind of company that you are. Michael Forney is going to be talking a little later in social media and just digital media in general about how you can do that and why that's important today. So you have to do that. There's how you change what you offer. We're in the digital age. Amazon's not talking about delivering with drones. That's one way to change the way you offer. But how can you change the way you offer? Examine your sales protocols. What do we mean by sales protocols? Well, there are things such as sales cycles. How long does it take to get the actual sale, right? There's the actual, from the time you first find the potential client to the time you close, what are the things that you are doing to close that sale? You have to change those protocols for today's world. And I'm going to be giving you some tips for that in just a minute. And then you have to discover new verticals. Quick story, because I don't want to take up a lot of time. But I was working with a company that was a big IT company. They had one of their huge accounts they lost, which was Raytheon. Raytheon, they're involved in the space program, and they're massive. They're just big. They lost it, and they were looking for new business. Well, there are only so many businesses in the space world, okay, as far as I know. So I'm looking at their business, and I said to them, you know, Raytheon is like a small town or municipality. Why aren't we taking the same product with a couple of tweaks and offering it to small municipalities, universities? Aren't those like small little towns too? And take that same IT type system and apply it there and completely change the direction of that business. You have to look for new verticals. You can't just assume because you offer one product that there's only one type of client. You have to see where else we can go with it. That's the way the world works today. That's today, 2014. It's so broad. So, let's talk about ways we can actually make more money on the sales side, as we cover different areas here. So let's start with what I call the initiation of action. I love these seminars. I love when people come to seminars. The great thing about seminars is you can go to a seminar, you feel great, you go home, and that's great. I just love it. I heard 5 people speak, and it was just wonderful. I have a friend who cracked a joke, and excuse it if it's a little off color, but he would say that, you know, seminars, and there are lots of speakers, is like an orgy. You feel great afterwards, but you don't know who to thank. It's a little off color. But at the same time, you're still left with nothing afterwards, unless you take action. That's the biggest problem. They take lots of notes, they write it all down, and then they go home, and they keep doing what they were doing before. So, what did we have up there before? Nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
And nothing changes. Absolutely right. about that. So let's look at some things we can change. Okay, so we have to start being accountable. And accountable means the sum of all our actions. So all your actions have to be geared towards developing sales. It's the sum of the actions. It makes sense, right? If you're not thinking of yourself, no matter what your business is, as a sales company, instead of a product or a service company, you are not creating a sum of all actions towards getting more sales. I work with a big dental manufacturer and supply company in Oxford. They send teeth and bridges, all kinds of stuff all over the country. We've been transforming them into a sales company. It just so happens that they sell teeth. And their sales are going up. You have to do this with every type of company. So we have that. You have to redefine and reinvent your transitions, turning what I call objections into opportunities. And very quickly, what does that mean? Well, there's an old rule that still applies today. Every objection is really an opportunity to sell. When someone tells me, no, that's fantastic. Why is that fantastic? Because now I get to tell you more about my company and why you should be actually saying yes. If you say yes, I don't have to sell anymore. So I look at it as an opportunity to continue to sell, to explain some more about what it is that I offer. Initiation of action, right? And then using immediacy to your benefit. Remember that watering can that had all those different things going on there? The cell phone, web pricing, the internet, texting, email. Guess what, folks? As Michael Forney will explain, people are going into stores and shopping nonstop off their phone. I was in the shower the other day and saw that my girlfriend's special soap that she loves was just about super low. While I was actually shaving, I went on Amazon and reordered it. That's the immediacy of my benefit. Okay? So you need to do the same thing on the other side of it. You have to become more accessible, and you need to be able to take advantage of this immediacy, because someone else will. So that's the first of the two tips that I like to cover. The first is the initiation of action. Look at it, a little lazy thing. Okay? And the second is the power of we. And I love this one. The power of we. I'm not getting all metaphysical on this. I'm talking about how to make sense. You see, we have to start assuming that being inclusive with the buyer. When I talk about inclusive, when I work with a seller, when I work with a person that's going to possibly buy, I want them to feel that I'm a partner with them. I never want them to think that I'm selling them. I'm here to help them. I'm here to help them. If I'm helping them, then why don't we go ahead and make this decision together? Hence the power of we. So we start using words like let's and we, because they have enormous power during the close of the sale. Here's an example right here. So, why don't we do this? Tell you what, let's go ahead and sign this, we'll get this going, we can go ahead and get this thing done. I'm the expert in my field. You're trusting me. I'm advising you because I am treating you like a partner. So why don't we do this? Let's do this. The power of we is overwhelming because it makes someone feel like you're actually taking care of them. And isn't that what you really want to do? So, we're going to be covering different steps, tips to make more money. So here is my step. It's a sales tip. You want to tighten your communication, creating a climate of what I call we, while focusing on the value proposition of you caring, of you wanting what's best for them, of the value that you present, because pricing is insignificant in sales. I hope you all write that down. Pricing is insignificant in sales. Anyone can drop a price and get the deal. So what? Sales is not about that. Sales is about the value proposition. And we do that partially through the we. And you'll notice that in all these different tips that we're going to have, They're all right in front of you, as long as you have someone to direct you there. Because that last one was right there, but you couldn't even see. And that's what's going to be happening today. As a matter of fact, now that we've talked about value proposition, it's important that you take care of the value of your company and not just be thinking about sales. So our next speaker, Dinesh, is going to talk to you about how you can do that as an operations expert and financial analyst. So, Dinesh.
I'm going to talk to you about what I consider the nuts and bolts of the business, the numbers. I know a lot of you will roll your eyes and say, well, numbers are boring things. But your numbers, your financial statements, the importance of reviewing your financial statements on a regular basis. Let me ask all of you, how many of you review your financial statements on a monthly or quarterly basis? Very good. The financial statements, the three main financial statements we talk about is your profit and loss or income statement, your balance sheet, and then your cash flow statement. Consider these to be your business health report card or the checklist for you to monitor the health of your business. Profit and loss will tell you how much profit you're making. Your balance sheet is a statement of where your company stands. But what I find the most critical thing is cash flow analysis.
Towards the...
You've got to review your monthly cash flows to find out where your money is coming from and where it's going. Track your performance to your budgets. You have an actual budget performance based on what you achieved, what you accomplished last year. Are you on track? Where are you falling behind? And the more important thing is, what are you doing about it? Are you taking the appropriate action to remedy that before you hit December 31st and find out that you're declaring a loss to the IRS? What are the status with your key business indicators? From your financial numbers, there are certain key business indicators which I will elaborate shortly. If you keep your eye on those, that will tell you how your business is doing throughout the course of your operations. Let's talk about cash flow. What is a cash flow statement? Basically, a cash flow statement is show me the money. Where is the money coming from and where is it going? And more importantly, why you've got to look at your cash flow on a regular basis is to see, is your business generating sufficient, positive, healthy cash flows? What I call free cash flow. Free cash flow is the money that you can take out of your business without affecting its operations. Most startups, small businesses, the biggest problem they have is that they take out too much money from their business for their drawings or for whatever other expenses they have. They don't need money in their business for it to grow. When you grow in an agricultural area, you're planting a seed, you've got to nurture that seed and give it the nutrients for that to flourish. The same thing in the business. This is what a cash flow statement is like. This is one of the complicated statements of a medium-sized company that a CPA will look for. In essence, a cash flow statement, you start with your profit, you make adjustments for items, line items that are not actually money out of your pocket, such as depreciation, amortization, and interest payments. And then you see what are the changes in your cash flow. The three elements that are there is cash flow, positive or negative, that is generated from your operations. You are in business to make money. Is your business generating cash flow or is it consuming cash? Investment activity. The money that's generated in your business, is that being deployed to buy more assets, to buy more equipment to enhance your business? Or are you selling off assets to realize cash to keep your operations going? And the final section is the cash flow from financing activity. In addition to the cash flow that your business generates, you rely on financing from banks, lines of credit. If the net cash flow from your financing activities is greater than your operations, you are pumping more money into your business. And what is the net effect? Well, what is the balance at your bank? What is the cash that you have on hand at the beginning of a period and what you have at the end? Generating healthy cash flows is very important. Many large companies build up huge reserves of cash flow, the cash that they use towards growth or paying dividends to their investors. You look at companies like Apple and Google who have hundreds of billions of dollars in cash reserves. Small companies, there's no reason why this cannot happen. It requires a little bit of fiscal financial discipline. So let me explain to you a little bit more in a graphical sense what the cash flow to your business is. Remember, time is money. Every day that you run your business, you go to work, time is ticking away. You have got expenses to pay at the end of the month, rent, utilities, insurance charges. Your business is to operate on an efficient basis. Same principle applies to the federal government or the state government or any large corporation as well as a small business. So let's have a look at it. This is what we call the working capital cycle. When you start a business, you put in money in the business either through getting a loan from the bank or you as the investor injects capital in the business. You take that money, you'll either buy inventory for cash or raw materials for manufacturing products. You may take advantage of suppliers' credit, which is the payables, to get that inventory. You convert that to sales. When you're selling to customers, you have two means of cash. Direct cash that goes back into your bucket of money, or in terms or credit terms you allow your customers, which is called accounts receivable. That flow, the faster the flow within a period, the more surplus cash flow you can generate, the more positive cash flow you can generate. The longer the cycle, the longer it takes you to get your money back from your customers, the harder it is for you to have cash on hand. The longer the inventory stays in your warehouse, the more deficit of cash you have. So remember, cash flow is the lifeblood of your business. Without cash, your business cannot run. Many cases and instances of very profitable businesses on paper with good profit margins ended up in trouble because they simply ran out of cash for various reasons, either growing too fast or inefficient use of their cash. So you as a business person, every month or every quarter, what are the business indicators that tell you how your business is performing in terms of actual numbers? As I said, accounts receivable, always make efforts to tighten accounts receivable. Try and keep that cycle of money that is out of your system, out of your bank, as short as possible. If you're offering customers 90 days credit term, try your best to bring it down to 60 days. Many small businesses, in order to encourage more sales, offer longer credit terms to their customers. And what happens is that at some point they run out of cash. Secondly, take advantage of your suppliers' credit. Lots of suppliers out there, just as yourself, are trying to get business, and they offer credit facilities. Take those, because that means there's more money in your pocket rather than being with your supplier. Of course, there are sometimes when the supplier offers you a cash discount. In that case, it makes sense to take advantage of that cash discount and lower your cost of goods sold. All that hinges on whether you have a healthy cash flow to your business. The most critical part of your business, I think, is your gross margins, your gross profit margins. In a very competitive environment, we're working on very tight gross margins. But there are ways in which you can tweak it to fine-tuning to extract that extra 1 or 2% out of your business. Inventory turnover. In today's fast-moving world of technology and changes, as Michael mentioned, things are always in a state of flux. Try not to get yourself caught with inventory that is out of date or is not keeping up with what the competitors are bringing onto the market. If you increase your turnover, there's more cash in your business. How do you do that? If you're sitting with stock, the lady here talked about some of the products she has, you've got stock that has been sitting there for 6 months, inventory, drop the price, turn it into cash, bring in new stuff, keep the cycle flowing. And of course, as Michael said, the sales and order pipeline has to keep flowing. The minute there's a break, it slows down your cash flow through your business and you end up in trouble. Let's talk about the gross profits. Just a refresher, revenue less cost of goods sold is your gross profit. And your gross profit of your revenue is your gross profit margin. A lot of people call accountants bean counters, but you as the owner of the business have to have the ability to read those beans and interpret what's happening in the business. Here are some ways you can increase gross margin. You can increase your sales volume. Exactly what Michael says. Change the way you're doing your sales. Find new ways in which to increase your sales volume. Reduce your cost of goods sold. As I mentioned, take advantage of suppliers' credit. In addition to that, with the access to global trade through the internet, you can reduce your cost of goods sold simply from your home office by searching for suppliers that can reduce the cost of your inputs. The third thing is to increase sales of higher margin products. Now this is where a lot of people don't narrow it down. As Michael said, that sell on value, not on price. A lot of people starting new businesses, I had the same problem when I started a couple of businesses, is you're tempted to compete on price rather than on value and quality. Yes, you have to be competitive in a competitive environment, but avoid the temptation to keep dropping your price. Rather, look at your product mix and find products that have greater value added to them where you can get a higher margin. So as I said, the higher gross profit margin your business has, the more cash flow you have. And your gross profit is basically the stream of cash flowing into your business before you use that cash to pay for your fixed operating expenses and putting money in your pocket. Let me show you in numbers form the effect of a change in gross profit on net profit. Here we have a case pre and post where we did some tweaking. If you look at the cost of goods sold, when we drop the cost of goods sold by 8%, which is $5, the effect on your bottom line operating profits is a 50% increase in operating profit without doing anything about your fixed operating expenses, which remain there. So just, as I said, a 5% increase in your gross profit results in a 50% increase in your operating profit. The other way around, if you're not paying attention to your numbers and your cost of goods sold go up by $5, the resultant effect is a 45% decrease in your operating profit. So that's why gross profit is very important. If I may use a golfing analogy, when you go and play golf, the experts tell you the best way to improve your game is keep your head down and focus on what you're doing. Focus on your shot. Don't worry about where the ball is going. In the same way, look at your gross profit numbers. If you maintain a healthy gross profit margin, the net operating profit, the bottom line, the money in your pocket will be a healthy figure, and that will enable you to build up your cash reserve. Of course, you can also reduce your fixed operating expenses by adopting changes, like Michael says, changes in the way you do your business, the way you utilize capital, and the way you control your expenses. You can increase your unit labor productivity through multiple skills, training, and use of technology. In today's world, you can run a business without having a whole team of accountants, human resources, and marketing people. You can make use of that technology. You can have people trained in multiple skills. In the old days of a car assembly line, a guy bolting a door frame did that job only. Today, in any business, one guy does multiple tasks. That improves your efficiency, it improves your gross profit. Reduce your fixed overhead and admin costs by outsourcing HR functions. You'll hear later from Craig and Mary about outsourcing payroll and insurance costs, keeping that cost down. Don't try and do everything in-house. And finally, you can eliminate waste and duplication of cost-incurring activities. I want to give you a story about Toyota Motors, why there's such a world-renowned motor manufacturer. The Toyota Motors uses the just-in-time system of manufacturing, of total quality, and making sure that they eliminate waste by getting things done right the first time, and always looking at ways in which to cut costs. It's an ongoing process. So these are some of the things you can apply to squeeze your profits, to increase your gross margin in the end. The end result is more money in your pocket. So before I leave you with my finance tip, I want to leave you with an Asian proverb that I came across. With due respect to Michael of sales, sales is vanity, profits is sanity, but cash is always king. And my tip for today is keep a close check on your gross profit margin and monitor your cash flows monthly. And Michael will take it from there.
So
as Michael just said, my name is Michael Forney, and it's unfortunate in our partnership we're two Michaels and a Dinesh. He's actually just Michael 3. Makes it easier for everybody that way. So, a little bit about me. I started out my professional career as a Navy officer and a Navy attorney, which was during the Cold War. Cold War ended, they fired a whole bunch of us. So I opened my own law practice. So a lot of what Mary's talking about is very accurate stuff. People are afraid to call lawyers for cost because of what they don't know, or for just because they don't want to admit they made a mistake or something. So it's a great plan that Mary had. After that, I went into working with Ralph Lauren Polo and doing real estate development in shopping centers. Again, great jobs, fantastic jobs. But the thing that gets me more excited about anything what I do is this marketing gig, because every day it changes. Every day, literally, every day it's new stuff. Before I get going, how many people here are service companies? Just put your hand up. How many of you are selling products? Anybody a manufacturer? Okay, I'm talking to. Oh, you are.
I do everything.
Okay. That's good. I like that. Change is the new metric for marketing. Everything we do is driven by change now. And it changes every day, literally. Part of my job is I get up at 6:30, would get my high school son off to school, and I would spend an hour, hour and a half doing professional reading because there's always new apps, there's new ways to use them, there's new websites. It's an amazing thing. And I've got, by the way, this is usually a 2-hour seminar that I do, so I'm going to skip around a lot. But ask a question in the middle. All marketing now is all interactive. It's a conversation. So let's do it that way. If you have a question, just put your hand up and I'll address it. Because a lot of times you know more what you want to know than I do. So change is the new metric. That and everything in marketing is relationship driven now. It used to be you take an ad out in Yellow Pages and it was all a one-way conversation. You're talking to people. Now they want to talk back to you. Okay? It's about them knowing who you are, about them knowing what you do, and it's about passion and having some kind of a personal way to do business with this technology twist. And then you add in the profit motive, like Dinesh was talking about managing your costs. What happened 10, 12, 15 years ago? Everything was about money. You go with the cheapest supplier, you go with the cheapest labor, it was all dollar driven. I was working with a client a while ago, and they didn't understand why they were getting no traction with under 35 newly married couples. And I said, what do you offer them? And I said, well, we have a $5 price differential from our competition, and we've got a killer 800 number. And I said, well, I'll tell you 2 reasons why you're not getting traction with under 35-year-old newly married couples. $5 is a trip for one of them to Starbucks, doesn't matter, and they're not going to call an 800 number and wait. They want to direct message you on Twitter, they want to go on your Facebook page and leave a complaint. This is why you're not getting any traction. They didn't want to hear it, they didn't want to learn it, so we parted our ways, and they're probably still stuck with the same problem they had. Another situation, company where this makes a difference. In service businesses, I had a couple from the west side in Santa Monica. They were both working in the tech industry. They wanted to move up here to Westlake or Aurora for schools because they were going to start a family. They contacted me and said, hey, we need you to search for a realtor for us. We want it to be a female. She has to have raised her kids in the area and put them through schools. They have to be graduated. And she has to work with children's charities. We need you to find this person for us. My first thought was, they want me to hire me to do that. My second thought was, they want to pay me to do that. So it was good work. So I set up the search. We found it. They went on Trulia and found the house they wanted and asked if this realtor could take care of it for them. So even in service industries, things are changing. And people have their own demands that they want to have. Now the last thing I have on here, right here, this, I guess the laser's not working, it's all right. Companies whose CEOs, this is an early version of my tip for you. Companies whose CEOs or leaders or managers are involved in social media enjoy more profits, upwards to 40%, than their competitors who are not on social media. That's a huge bump, okay? So the whole thing we're going to talk about from here is trying to get you on social media if you're not. How many here have a Facebook business page? How many are on Twitter? Good. You don't count, I put you on there. Oh, how many have a Google Plus page? Same people, good, I'm glad to see that. That's very good.
Instagram.
What's Instagram? All right, good. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just do some stats here really quick. The younger generations are driving the market now, and it's huge. Every year, there's an internet usage report that comes out, and the 2013 report just came out. It's pretty amazing stuff. For the United States, MAUs, mobile average users, who's online most of the time for their phones, pretty amazing stuff. Right now, internet usage overall, but mobile especially, is divided into 4 categories. Generation Z people, who are 18 and under, are 30% of the population using it. Generation Y, which is the 20s, are 30%. Generation X, which some of you may be, are 30%, and then the baby boomers and the golden generation are 10. So there's obviously a clear delineation between older users and the younger users. And once you get out of the baby boomers, everybody's getting online and doing it the same way. So you're going to have to find a way to get there and make it work. Anybody a Will Ferrell fan? Plagues of Glory?
Yeah.
What does it mean? It's provocative. Remember that line? Nobody ever does. I like it. My son said nobody would know it. He said, take it out, you know. So, anyway. But the age bracket analysis is what's really driving everything right now. And what it's driving, what's provocative is the ad buys, and I'll just do this really quickly. TV, going down. Radio, going down. Print, dead. If you're in the phone book, if you're advertising in the newspaper, get the hell out of there. It's not going to do you any good. Okay? Digital buys, all the way up. Actually, by 2018, digital media, video, watching TV, ads on Hulu, on that are going to surpass TV ads by a bunch. We're talking tens of billions of dollars of money being spent on these things. And it's all being driven by X, Y, and Z, the generations that are tech savvy and ready to do this. Interesting fact. Younger kids, the generation Y and Z particularly, touch their phone, pick up their phone, use it 43 times a day for an average of over 3 minutes use. 2 hours worth of time. It's a lot of phone use, okay? but they're using it for a lot of different things. Now, how are you going to get to this point where you can address these people? What are you going to do? Actually, let me backtrack. I always do this because I changed these two slides and those don't reflect, I apologize. But anyways, so I call it business dating, getting to know these people, getting to know who they are, building a trust, letting them know who you are, and sharing values. Okay. Now, the sharing values is important. Anybody know H&M, the clothing retailer? Okay. They specialize in clothing for generally younger generations. Kids love them, not because they have great clothes, which they do, not because they have great prices, which are even better, but because their website, half of it talks about the fact that they put their factories in safe places, not in residential neighborhoods, because I think it was in Sri Lanka, they had a factory. It was in a neighborhood, residential, blew up, burned up, people got hurt. So they immediately changed their policy. They only try and use normal, regular models instead of these skinny waifs that people find all over the place. Okay? And they have that on their website, people know about it. The other example I always use is Chick-fil-A. You all know Chick-fil-A, right? Everybody knows their stance. They're pro-traditional marriage. They're closed on Sunday because the owners are Christian. And even despite the fact that a lot of people don't like those issues or those stances, they still respect Chick-fil-A. In a lot of cases, they still go there because they were brave enough to take a stance, talk about who they are, what they value, and people like that. They like knowing who they're dealing with. One of the problems with dealing with lawyers is everybody thinks, that was a knowing laugh. Everybody thinks, I'm just going to get ripped off, I'm going to do whatever, because you don't know, because lawyers are notoriously bad about marketing themselves. I know, because I was. I put an 800 number and everybody criticized me because I had an 800 number when I was practicing law. But companies now are getting smart to this thing, and it's a different world. They're sharing their values. It's a two-way communication. They're asking people, what do you think about us? What can we do better? Things like that. All right, now, what leadership is going to do? You all run your own companies or in positions of responsibility. Leadership in your company means that you're going to set the tone of who you are. You're going to answer, who are we? What do we do? With whom do we want to do business? What are our values? And then you're going to assign the tasks to get that out there. Everybody in your business should be, how many of you have employees or partners or anybody else you work with? Everybody in your business needs to be involved in social media. They all need to be retweeting your things or reposting your things or even contributing what they can to it, because it's that important that they all be involved in it. So you as a leader need to set the strategy. You need to say, this is what we're about. I'm sorry if I'm in your way because I'm standing in the same place. You don't need to be fighting fires every day. Those are tasks. But you need to be setting the strategy, and then you need to include your organization in what you're doing. Anybody have any questions, comments yet? No? You're doing that good of a job. Nice.
Must be the naval officer in you.
Thank you. That's still the biggest source of pride other than my family.
I have 2 girls leaving to the Navy this December.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
And by the way, that is the best part of all the armed forces.
I agree.
And the Marines are part of the Navy, so we include them too. Okay. So, here's your approach. Your approach to doing your marketing is a campaign-based. A lot of companies, their problem is they think they just need to be talking about their company and everything at one time. Okay, you want to do it as a campaign. You can promote a product, you can promote a service. You can do it a couple different times and places just to get it done. You need to know who you are, what your strategy is, and how to implement this and how to get it going. I'm going to run out of time here, so let me run up to because this is always the interesting part of the platform. Twitter, I think that's the best tool for your business. People who are on Twitter, CEOs, and may know Marissa Mayer, the CEO of Yahoo. She's on Twitter all the time. 1,000 tweets a month. 1,000. People say, how can I tweet that much? I say, well, if you pick up your phone 25 times a day to look at a text message, see who left you a voicemail, answer your phone, look at the time, tweet something while it's in your hand. It's that easy. It really is. Because you already know what your strategy is and you already know your business persona, so you know what you're going to say. Google Plus, a couple of you use that. That's a great catch-all because it feeds the biggest search engine in the world, which is what? Google. It feeds the second biggest search engine in the world, which is what? YouTube. Who said that?
Doesn't Google own
Yes, they do. Third biggest search engine in the world, Pinterest. Anybody know Pinterest?
Oh, yeah.
All women? 85% of Pinterest users are women.
Not in England.
Not in England? Okay.
UK's men.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Isn't that?
Pinterest, if you don't know it, remember when we grew up, you'd have a bulletin board in your bedroom, you'd pin up pictures of whoever you had a crush on or your whatever, and all that kind of stuff. That's what Pinterest is. It's a bulletin board for digital pictures, and you can comment on them, and you can repost them or repin them, and you can do all kinds of stuff. It's great. Wonderful way. YouTube, you all know about. Vine, Instagram, a couple of you mentioned that. Great way to share pictures and videos. Snapchat. Anybody know what Snapchat is?
Yeah.
Famous for high schoolers texting one another.
Second.
Guess what? If you sell products or services, you can use this because what people do is they'll send out a chat or whatever you call it to their customers. Open this when you're in the store. They open it. It stays valid for 5 minutes after they open it, but they get a discount coupon. They come up there. It's kind of fun. It's exciting. It's new. You never know what you're going to get. It's something to talk about. It's a great business tool to get people to come in and be excited about coming up to buy something because I don't know what I'm going to get. Text messages, you've heard about that. Great tools. Your sales staff needs to be using these. You need to be integrated with them. Messenger services, WeChat. What's the one you have, Dinesh, that you use for overseas?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Everybody knows WhatsApp, right? Facebook just bought it.
$20 billion, what's that?
That's right. Messenger services are going to overtake social media within 2 years as the biggest tool, or the biggest usage thing. Okay? You can use it for your business because it's an opt-in. They have to choose to follow you on a messenger service. All right? There's some that are very, I personally use one that was created by a Russian businessman at the FSB, that used to be the KGB. Always try to get into his business, so he's created a secure messenger app, and I figure if it's good enough for him with the FSB, you know, it's going to be good enough for me. So messenger services, look into that. They're great. Facebook is at the very bottom because it is of the most declining value for your business. They're making it harder and harder for your business to use it because they want you to sell or buy ads. Don't worry about Facebook. Okay? It's great for keeping up with your high school friends. Yeah.
But even Skype recently is also having ads all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good place.
Well, Skype is great for, you know, when we use Google Hangouts all the time because it's similar, but it's ad-free, and it's free, and it's great. By the way, all these free platforms, talking about driving your value with your social media and getting that 40% boost, those are all free. You don't have to pay for them. You don't have to buy a Yellow Page ad. You don't have to buy a newspaper ad. Free. All you got to do is learn to use them. Any other questions? Seriously?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, regarding, you were talking about doing all this posting.
Yeah.
I heard that it's important to do it at the same time every time.
No,
No?
not necessarily. It's important to do it a lot, and if you do, because here's why. My followers, a bunch of them are in Europe. If I'm posting at a time that's convenient to me here in California, they're not going to see it. So I repost things 3 different times a day, and I'll mix it up. Sometimes I know there's something that's aimed at younger customers, so I'm going to do it when it's not a school time. So you got to vary it up depending on who you're looking to target with your post.
So, is it me?
Yeah.
So you're talking about our employees, well, I have an issue with that because I have a retail store and I don't want my employees with cell phones on
Okay.
them. And then the other thing is that we do take pictures so we can text them to our clients.
Sure.
And I wonder about that because it's my employees' cell phones connecting with my clients. How else do you do it unless
Well,
my
they
cell
don't,
phone is
they don't
going
have to do it in an official capacity.
Yeah.
But you can say, hey, I just put out a tweet or a post on this new line of products we got, and they can go retweet it and say, hey, I work for this company, we just got these great things in. You don't have to give them necessarily the ability to represent you directly, but they can retweet, they can repost, they can do all that kind of stuff.
And if I may just add one other thing to that as well, you can also have your employees direct people when they're first making contact with them. You know, we post a lot of different stuff at this site, like Pinterest or whatever, so they know where to go to see stuff. And I'll put that up there, take a look at it. So therefore, they don't actually have to use their own cell phone.
One last question.
Buffer, Hootsuite, LinkedIn.
Yes.
Use those?
Not a huge fan of LinkedIn, because I get so much people trying to sell me programs and stuff. Buffer and Hootsuite, I use them both. I use Buffer. Anybody know what Buffer is? It's an app where you can post something to 4 different of your personas online at one time for free. Hootsuite is $10 a month roughly, and I use it for all my clients. I have like literally 70 different accounts on there that I use for clients. So yeah, use Buffer, use Hootsuite. You can use them for different things, but they're definitely great tools. You can schedule different times for posts to go out, make it really easy for you. I have a lot more stuff on here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this all typed up for you guys to read, and we'll email it out to you with all the information in it, okay? Because there's stats galore, and there's all kinds of stuff that I had to fly through this way too fast. Like I said, it's a 2-hour presentation. So I'll get there. We all have your email addresses. If you didn't sign up and give it to Rosandra, make sure you do so I can get it to you. All right, thank you.